It's time for Twig This Week in Google, and the latest from Google I.O. Jeff Jarvis and I will watch from afar as Gina and Kevin Marks talk all about the latest from Google next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. Cachefly.com. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 94, recorded May 11th, 2011. Cloud Liver. This Week in Google is brought to you by Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to create a high-quality website or blog. For a free 14-day trial, go to squarespace.com/twig and be sure to check out their annual plans for savings of up to 20% off. And by Netflix. Watch thousands of TV episodes and movies streamed to your PC, Mac, or TV instantly. Plus, get DVDs by mail in about one business day. For your free 30-day trial, go to netflix.com/twit. It's time for Twig This Week in Google and the Cloud. And we are actually going to pull in people from the cloud right now, starting with Kevin Marks, who is in the press room at Google I.O., which is going on right now, Google's developer conference. Hello, Kevin.
Hi there. Good to see you again.
Congrats on your new job with Salesforce.com. That's fantastic.
I'm very excited about that, and that's the original cloud company, so that's very excited to be working there and bringing web standards to Salesforce and Salesforce to web standards. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Poor Kevin just can't hold a job. I mean, everywhere. He's been everywhere. Apple and Google and BT and now Salesforce.
I know.
My God. Nice to have you.
He's had
Thank
many
you.
lives.
And sitting right...
Career ADD.
Career ADD. No, it's just the way it is these days. Sitting right next to him in the press room. I think they can actually reach out and touch each other somehow.
We can.
Yeah.
Yay.
Very weird.
There you go. There you go. That'll work.
Gina Trapani is also
We
here.
have a lot of fun.
Smarterware.org. She's an Android developer, so she, of course, is at Google I.O.
I'm with my people.
And I was there at the keynote yesterday. We'll talk about that. And, of course, there's another keynote that just happened today. And we didn't cover that one live, but there's lots to talk about with that. So we'll get to that in a moment. But first, let me introduce the guy in square number 3 in our little Hollywood Squares setup, Mr. Jeff Jarvis.
The guy with the dinky little...
The dinky little guy. Oh.
Size doesn't matter, Jeff. It's okay.
Why is it women always say that? and why is it they always kind of laugh maniacally afterwards?
I know.
I'll never understand that. Great to have you, Jeff. In fact, thanks for covering. You and Tom Merritt did the dirty work yesterday covering.
Oh, it was great fun.
It was
great
so
fun. Of course,
good.
the great thing was I was going off in the stratosphere about how important this was, and then I remembered Wave and Buzz and Google TV, and Tom, put a proper pin in my Healy.
Well, so if you watched either our stream or Google's official stream, you saw the keynote yesterday. Again, Google did it again today at Google I.O. And now there's breakout sessions and seminars and stuff. But we thought we'd get together, as always, and talk about some big announcements from Google. Where should we start? Let's recap. Gina, maybe you and I can recap, and anybody wants to chime in, what happened yesterday. It was all about Android yesterday, right?
Right. Yesterday was Android. Today was Chrome. So, yeah, there's tons of stuff yesterday. And, in fact, we recorded a little bit, Leo. I don't know if...
Oh, I have that video. Should I do that?
Up to you.
I wasn't even thinking. Yeah, I have the video of it. I'll tell you what. Let's play it. We will edit it in, and I will play it after the show because I don't want to slow us down. So it is about, I think, a 5-minute video where I talk to you, Lance Ulanoff of PC Magazine, Ben Parr from Mashable, and the Scobalizer, Robert Scoble, about their thoughts on Android. So let's roll that right now.
Day one of Google I.O. Leo Laporte at Moscone Center in San Francisco. That's Android everywhere. And Gina Trapani and I both sat in for the keynote of day one. There's another one tomorrow.
Yeah, there's another one tomorrow. I don't know what else there could be tomorrow. Today's was pretty great.
These were the big announcements.
It seems that way, although I don't know. I'm a big fan of the maybe a little extra, maybe a little more tomorrow.
Well, Google's much more than Android, and this was all Android.
That's true. I mean, we'll see some Chrome focus tomorrow.
Right. So tell me what you think as a developer. I mean, this was aimed at you.
It sure was, and I was pretty excited. I have to say, the Honeycomb announcements, the hardware, that Arduino-based 80K, that thing looks cool. I wanted to get my hands on that. I'm super excited. I mean, watch the demo, the head movement demo. There's so many cool things as a developer. I was like, oh, I'm gonna jump in and make my Android app really awesome.
There was a pretty clear message to developers that we're going to put Android everywhere, including in devices and refrigerators and lights, and there's going to be a single unified SDK that will allow developers to develop across the board. I mean, we'll see how that works out.
Definitely. I mean, the message today to developers was like, we're going to make great tools that let you make awesome apps that are going to work on all kinds of devices, and they're going to be everywhere. And that's really, really exciting to developers. And I'm really excited to see some of those tools and see some of the neat things you can do with Honeycomb 3.1 and then Ice Cream Sandwich.
The Google executive who led the keynote, Vic Kundotra, he usually does it. He did a very nice job. Kept saying the word choice. This seems like this is, by the way, no mention of Apple this time. No slams at anybody else. It was...
There was that one.
There were a few?
There was an image of the Android robot eating an apple.
Okay, I missed that.
It was about 60 seconds in. It was just a visual, but that was the only. And then there was a little genius mention around the music, you know, the
right.
playlist. But no, not too many. No, it's not too many digs at Apple.
Except that the word choice is directly in contrast to Apple's marketing.
Absolutely. Big emphasis on how many devices are out there, how many activations there have been, and, you know, that great shot of the little Android robot that everyone loves, kind of, you know, wearing its jetpack and just shooting up that infographic. So a lot about momentum and a lot about choice. Choice was the word.
And finally, the biggest cheer, of course, at the end, when Vic announced that all 5,000 people were going to receive the new Galaxy Tab 10-inch tablet, and that it not only would be starting with Honeycomb, but it would be running 3.1 within a week or two.
Next couple of weeks, that was definitely the Oprah moment, right? Everybody loves that. You want, get your tablet. It's not out for another month, and everyone that's here, you know, everyone that's watching the live stream is jealous. You know, I got a dozen tweets instantly that's like, oh, enjoy your new tablet. So yeah, developers love that. Hey, we're gadget geeks. We love getting our hands on stuff early. Not only are we getting early hardware, we're going to get the software early as well. That's exciting.
So we're going to actually talk to a couple of other people, if you don't mind, who are here at the Google I/O. I see Ben Parr from Mashable. Hey, Ben, how are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
What's your sense from what you saw tonight?
They put out a lot of new things here in 1 hour. It is it's clear that Android is growing and that Google is not stopping with it.
They announced 400,000 activations a day.
And they're at 100 million total, which is a huge number if you think about it.
Yeah. Apple, it's interesting because Apple is now starting to say, well, we don't care if we're number one, or that's the kind of the spin that's going around, is we never wanted to be number one. It's pretty clear that Android is now the number one handset platform.
In terms of pure numbers, it seems that way. It just seems like two different strategies on how to approach the mobile and the tablet market. Obviously, Apple has done very, very well with its approach to tablets and phones, and clearly Google's done a very good job with it. I feel like it's just a market that's big enough for two very big players. Mashable,
of course, covers Web 2.0, and the big Google Music's announcement was today, the cloud service, the service they announced a year ago they finally have released. What do you think of it?
It seems like a very, very good service. It's interesting that they weren't able to get the deals with like the major music players so that you could have like the streaming platform. But as a product itself, there's a lot of cool things being able to push it to different devices. You have all that googliness within it.
Yeah. Google, it does a great job of saying what they're going to do up front. Delivery is another problem for Google. Making it happen.
Google can be hit or miss. You've had some major hits. Obviously, Android's a major hit. But if you remember a couple years ago, 2 years ago, here they announced Google Wave. That was a big miss. Last year, it was Google TV. That's still to be determined. So it just kind of depends on which product. And like any other company, you have some hits and you have some misses.
Nice to see you, Ben. Thanks for stopping by. Look who else is here. Lance Ulanoff, the editor-in-chief of PC Magazine. Hi, Lance.
Hey, how's it going?
They brought you all the way out from New York.
Yes, I decided it was important enough to come out here. I mean, Google's made its mark. It seems now in every part of our lives. I mean, and apparently they want to. They're going for global domination.
It's interesting, you know. Microsoft for years, their kind of business message was Windows everywhere in everything, and it seems like Google's stolen a page from that.
I was thinking about this sort of embedded approach. It was like Android in everything from an exercise bike to a light bulb. Wait a minute. So you really just, and when you start giving reference designs, for hardware that they can drop into anything. So you're going to be buying stuff in the future. You don't even know it has Android in it. You don't even know that it works with your Android phone. It's a very smart, very savvy move. But of course, you got to get the developers, you got to get the partners in there. They announced exactly, I think, one partner on that side. There was a light bulb guy. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And nobody I ever heard of. It wasn't Philips. It wasn't somebody like that. But it's a good first step. And now we really understand their intentions. But I am a little confused. They said one OS for everything. What about Chrome?
Yeah, well, we'll find out tomorrow, I guess. But that's been an interesting schism in Google's strategy. They've got two OSs, and when they push Android as heavily as they did today, you have to wonder, where's Chrome OS?
Yeah, I'm just not getting this. I mean, I like the Chrome browser a lot. I use it all the time. But I don't feel like the Chrome OS is truly an OS. I usually feel claustrophobic inside of it. And I almost feel like it's an experiment that's run its course. And now, go ahead. You've got, first of all, great branding with Android. People understand it.
Look at all these robots.
Yeah, and they've just broken it out. They've broken it out of the phone and the tablet space. They've just said, go free, be free, do all this stuff, be everywhere, be in our homes, be in our lives. I think that's a great strategy. You got to drop Chrome OS.
They did answer some people's questions about openness. They didn't say specifics, but they did say several times, open source.
Yeah, they said, that's what they said, open. But
is that enough?
You know what? What does open really mean? I mean, you can apply any sort of meaning to that. And when they have sort of trusted partners or selected partners, they say, yeah, it's open, but it'll be open right after this. So first we give it to the people who are our closest partners. They do what they need to do. Then we open it up to the world. So open is a fungible word. You can do with it whatever you want. And I think that's what Google does here. But the intention is mostly good.
Well, it's also critical. I can see how you might not want open in a handset space, but if you're going to go out in the light bulbs and refrigerators and speaker systems, open becomes very important.
Well, by the way, I spoke to a bunch of appliance manufacturers out at CES this year, and that was something we talked about quite a bit, because openness also refers to standards. When you have openness, you have no standards. And appliance manufacturers absolutely want standards that they cannot agree on.
And there's no good standard right now.
No, there isn't. And this is why we don't really have smart appliances, why they are not, in fact, talking to each other. Could Android become that platform? Could it become that subsystem? If they can get to Westinghouse, Sylvania, all of these guys, and convince them to march down the path.
Lance, it's great to see you. PCMag.com. Got to come back on TWiT soon.
I will.
Take care. Hey, look who else is here. Robert Scoble. I'm surprised you're not over playing on that giant labyrinth game.
That's pretty cool.
Tell us about that.
Well, it's they're building
life size.
Life size, but they're building these hardware controllers that are built on Android, and so your phone or your tablet can talk to these new hardware controllers and control machines and physical machines.
I know you and I both last year bought Google TVs, hoping. And really, I disconnected mine. I don't know about you. They announced today that they'll be running 3.1 and Honeycomb 3.1, and the App Store, the Google Marketplace, would be available on these devices. Does that make a difference?
Not to me anymore. I'm an iPad user, and I'm using AirPlay to push the videos from my iPad onto my TV through Apple TV. And Apple TV is $99. The Google TV is still
$300.
It's too expensive. I can't recommend it to my friends because it's too expensive and it doesn't do what the Apple TV does. Everybody loves that AirPlay, and if they have an answer to that, that's interesting. But so far they haven't really demonstrated that connected system yet.
It feels like Google's playing catch-up to Apple.
At least on tablets it is. Now on handsets, they're, like you said, they're #1 in numbers. So.
If you're a developer, now you're not, but put yourself in the mind, you talk to a lot of developers, is the message today compelling enough for a developer to say, I might either abandon iOS or do a dual platform strategy?
No. Dual platform, absolutely. The major, you see Angry Birds, it's on every platform.
Yeah, you have to, if you're big enough. The problem is not most developers don't have the resources to do both.
It's really telling. You were at South by Southwest. I saw about 30 apps there, new apps, only one of which was shown to me on an Android device. I spoke at the Wear 2.0 conference. I asked how many people here have Androids? 10%.
That's surprising, since location and Google seem to go hand in hand.
Because the top apps, the top development tools are still on Apple. And They didn't answer that. They also didn't talk about social. We're all wondering, what are they going to do with that +1 thing? And what are they going to do to keep Facebook from taking over search eventually?
That might be tomorrow, of course.
No, I just talked to Rohit. He was just standing behind you, who's heavily involved in the social team. He says, no,
nothing for tomorrow.
Coming this summer.
Here's a scoop. One other story that broke this morning, Microsoft just down the road having a press conference announcing that they have bought Skype for $8.5 billion. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's funny because I told Ballmer and Sinofsky and Gates to buy it in 2004, and they all wrote me an email that I have. I'm trying to get it back on my blog, but it says business value 13 times. It says no business value.
Oh, they've changed their tune.
They've changed their tune.
Big business value if it's $8.5 billion.
Yeah.
How much of this has to do with their ownership of a stake in Facebook? Do you think that this is partly for Facebook?
I don't think it has much to do with Facebook. I think they're getting attacked by Box.net, Salesforce Chatter, VMware has something coming out in a week. They're getting hit in the enterprise, and they need to have other ways to hook you in and keep you on a Microsoft Office, platform, an enterprise platform. And Skype is a huge piece of that, right? We're all on Skype, and that's a big deal.
Robert Scoble, thanks. Rackspace.com and Building 43.
Yep, Building 43, the center of the internet. That's where Larry Page and Marissa sit.
Thank you, Robert. Nice to see you. Nice to see all the people here, 5,000 developers, day one at Google I/O. The message is Android everywhere and choice for Android users. And, of course, the big sell to developers. It's a platform you want to develop for. We'll find out what they announce tomorrow at day two. I imagine it'll be Chrome OS, search, and more. Back to the studios and This Week in Google.
Okay, we rolled it. Now.
Great. Beautiful.
Now we're back. The magic of editing, we're back. And so it was all about Android. They did say some things I think that were pretty important, including, Kevin, and I imagine you were of interest as a developer, a third-party developer for Android. They reinforced the fact that Honeycomb and all Androids are open.
Yes.
And that answered the question I think a lot of people had.
Well, I missed the Android fireside chat yesterday. I think Gina went to that. So I didn't get all the details there. But
yeah, because Andy Rubin was actually in the press conference, not in the keynote.
Yes.
Right. Weirdly, he was never on stage. I was surprised about that.
Yeah, but he was available to journalists. Did he reinforce what they said on stage, that they intend to keep Android open and to offer people the source code soon?
Well, yeah, so I didn't make it to the fireside chat, although Eileen tweeted something that it was really fireside because it was like the questions were filled with fire, sort of being shot at the Android team, which made me laugh. So now Honeycomb isn't going to go open source, but Ice Cream Sandwich is going to combine Gingerbread and Honeycomb, and that will be
their unified. So they were never going to release the source of Honeycomb?
From what I hear,
oh, that's
no,
interesting.
they're not going to release that source, which is kind of interesting. So Honeycomb 3.1 is coming out in the next few weeks. We're going to get that on our tabs. That's got some cool stuff, resizable widgets, and it's going to be a USB host, so you can plug in a bunch of things. Like they had a demo on stage of someone with an Xbox controller plugged into a Honeycomb tablet playing Cordy. Is that the name of that game? Which is kind of cool.
That was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. But Ice Cream Sandwich, we're looking at Q4. And yeah, I mean that's the the one OS that's going to run everywhere, and that's where the really cool demos
It's interesting.
were.
So I think they said, in effect, they're saying, Honeycomb was kind of a botch. We're not going to release that.
Yeah, it's kind of this weird fork of like,
right.
Oh, we just needed to get a tablet out. But Ice Cream Sandwich is really where it's at, man. That's really.
Well, I should explain a gloss a little bit. You said our tablets. They handed out to developers, to the 5,000 developers in the keynote. These Samsung 10.1-inch tabs, which aren't out yet. They're special edition. They have on the back, they have little Android guys. This is a dual processor tablet, kind of almost a reference design at this point for what the Android tablets will look like going forward. Today, they handed out not CR48s, but Chrome OS laptops.
Chromebooks. So they're calling them Chromebooks now, yeah.
Okay. There's
they didn't have them.
No, mine. Running the music app. They didn't actually hand out the Chromebooks. They gave us. They said we'll send you one in June.
Okay.
They announced that the Chromebooks, Chrome OS, will be coming out in June 15th. from Acer and from
Samsung, right?
Samsung, at a price point of around 350 to 450.
Yeah. Let's get to that in a second. I want to finish the. There's so much to say.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah, there is. I think there's some big implications to what they're doing too.
Yeah. Well, they basically look to me like Android everywhere. In fact, you heard Lance Ulanoff liken it to Microsoft's strategy of some years ago, Microsoft Windows everywhere. Android everywhere except the desktop. They're still reserving that for Chrome OS or Windows or Macintosh, but they want to see Android on for instance, Android at home on home appliances, on lights.
That's where it finally comes, I think. That's the net of things, right? Finally arrives, and what's beautiful about it is it's so much the opposite strategy of what Apple can do. Is Apple going to allow something to connect to your refrigerator or stove if it's not Apple branded? No, and Google's willing to control anything.
Well, it's been an issue. You know, anybody who's looked at home automation, and we've been all waiting for a standard. The problem is there was one called Z-Wave, but these are all small companies promoting these standards, and there wasn't enough weight behind any one standard for it to get a grip. I would have loved it if Google had gotten behind Z-Wave, which is already kind of out there. They are in the same frequency. They didn't. They've created their own standard. But I guess because it's Google, it has a shot. And it is something I think we want. You need a standard. You need a platform. You look at what Windows did for computing. Google has an opportunity to do that for automation, for network everywhere, for intelligence everywhere. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it looks that way. The demos the two home automation demos were kind of interesting. One was, the lights would in the house would kind of, would get really bright when you shot someone in a game, which was kind of cool, but also a little weirdly impractical. The other one was they had CDs, like music CDs with theoretical NFC tags on them, and they would tap it to the Android device, and it would know what the album was, and then you tap it again, and it would just start playing the music.
By the way, never gonna happen.
No.
It's never going to happen. I mean, what's the point of having the CD to begin with?
I like the idea because if you have a CD collection, you can tap it on the Android and you don't have to download it. But that's not going to happen. And even with I'm uploading right now my music collection to the music player. You have to upload them. They will not do that. They could do it, that automatic recognition. But Michael Robertson got his pantsuit off with MP3.com doing the same thing, and I don't think anybody's going to take a chance of doing that again since he did lose that case, or he settled that case.
Right.
By the way, we interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, and he said, you know what? They would not have won, but we just couldn't afford to fight Universal Vivendi. But he says I wish he'd pursued it because we would have a very different world if you could just kind of wave your CDs at something and say, okay, I proved I have it. Now just put it in my cloud.
Well, but Leo, I think it was a shot across the bow. If you look at where they're going here, we were saying yesterday during the presentation that where's the store? Where's the store? Well, maybe there's never a store. And maybe Google's proper role is you got it, we'll organize it. We'll organize it for you.
I mean, I have to say I like this because on a portable device, look, I've got all these CDs now.
So in that sense, I think what they're saying is if you bought it anywhere, you should be able to organize it here.
Right.
And I think they'll argue that they're trying to encourage buying. One could fight that, but fine. And you look at the report today about social, that they're looking to do the same thing with social, where what I said yesterday was that Google's still not connecting people, but the internet is the connection machine. And if they can similarly have a layer atop the internet that in the cloud in your space that organizes what you have.
Well, there's definitely buying in here. If you play an artist, you can see more by artist. You can in theory, you can. It seems like I saw buy this at some point. Maybe it points to Amazon. Why should Google get in the music business? I like the functionality of this, especially since this is first generation. I think that the potential for this is great. And I am currently uploading. I've uploaded 463 of my 6,018 songs, but it does it automatically. I don't have to think about it. I mean, it's annoying that it has to do that, but I just downloaded the free program. It's running on where my iTunes is. It says, you want me to upload all the iTunes music? I said, yeah. Put it all up on the cloud.
And it's free for now, right? The beta is US only and free for now.
And invite only. by the way.
And invite only,
Yeah.
right.
So don't all come yelling at me that you don't have it yet. What'll happen is you'll get a little headphone. The icon changes on the music player from a speaker to a headphone. Look at this, though. All these artists, they're not on the phone. They're all on my cloud, which is kind of cool. So, I mean, there is some real advantage to this. I mean, it's on all my Android devices now.
Right, and it does some smart caching that, music that you've listened to, it tries to guess what it should cache so that you can keep listening to it offline. I haven't had a chance to play with it a whole lot. My internet connection at the hotel was awful, so I wasn't able to upload any of my songs after quite some time. I'm excited to go home and do that.
But you'll be
I
able
hear
to
that
try it on the
caching is
plane home. You'll see how it works.
Yeah, see how well the offline component works.
This is interesting because it isn't. You're right. It's not a business for Google. So, Jeff, what's your theory
that Google, whether it opens a store or not, it wants to be the place to organize your stuff, right? They're going to organize. They organize the world first. They're going to organize you, and that if only you could wave the CD. Why shouldn't you be rewarded with that? You own it.
Right.
And Google could probably protect it better and say that we verified this person owns this thing.
Well, I would love to see them do that. That would be absolutely incredible if they did,
So that's just a theory. But, as I said, I thought Wave was going to be huge too, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think this is pretty compelling. It's different from what Amazon's doing because it's not tied to a store. It does just go, you just basically you run this music player on your desktop and it's going to copy everything over. I think it's kind of interesting. I don't know when they didn't say when they're going to make this available to not by non-invitation, but I presume it'd be fairly soon.
I mean, the whole sell on this, right, was no wires, no painful syncing, right? And that's definitely a shot at the iPod, iTunes, Connect, Sync.
Well, and by the way, when I go to Music Player, it launches it in Chrome. And, of course, this is also something for Chrome OS that you need because you don't have much storage on these Chromebooks.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they showed it on that as well, yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense there. I don't know. I like this. I think this is about what you'd expect from Google. It's probably a little more polished than Google TV. That was some of the other news we got yesterday was that Google TV will have Ice Cream Sandwich 3.1. Am I right? Is that 3.1? What is Ice Cream Sandwich?
Honeycomb is 3.1, actually.
Honeycomb.
There is not a version number for Ice Cream Sandwich yet, so I'm not sure if that's going to be 4 or what. But Google TV is going to get the Android market, and I believe my notes were it's going to get Honeycomb 3.1.
That's what I thought too, 3.1. Okay.
So that's not going to, is that going to rescue Google TV? Are you going to bring it back out of the basement?
I'll dust it off. It's sitting in a closet right now.
Yeah.
$300 write-off. If I could put Angry Birds on it and play it on my TV. I mean, I've got a keyboard with the Logitech one it's got a trackpad and it's like a computer. I think that's pretty interesting. I'll tell you one thing I noticed immediately though on this tablet is there aren't a lot of Honeycomb apps, and while all the apps run, only a handful of them run and take advantage of the real estate. If you run Angry Birds, it does fill up the screen, but you can see some scaling issues a little bit with it. That stuff's not vector graphics, and look, it's got big buttons in the bottom and stuff like that. So
Gmail's pretty awesome.
Gmail does a nice job, but this is Google writing for.
Right, of course.
Although interestingly enough, and this will come out with 3.1, this Gmail widget doesn't stretch to
doesn't resize.
Yeah,
but it will.
That was such a big deal.
And people made a big deal out of that. But look, this is
that was
Gmail.
Not worth applause.
Yeah, isn't that funny? I guess people really wanted that.
I thought it was interesting. Developers clapped harder at the announcement that the Open Handset Alliance would be enforcing guidelines about updates going out.
Yes.
Much harder at that than, Google Music, which was a consumer product shipping yesterday. That was a really big announcement, I thought, the 18-month guidelines, for shipping out the latest version of Android if hardware allows. They're really trying to address the fragmentation issue.
So every phone contract is 24 months, and they're going to guarantee that you'll get the latest
right before your contract expires.
Yeah, they don't care about you the last 6 months.
Boy.
Right before your contract expires. All right, we'll give you the latest version.
I wonder whether that was what the telcos wanted. It's the ultimate in planned obsolescence. You know exactly when it's obsolete. 18 months. You're
Why?
behind now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, why give them such a big window?
Yeah,
It's a long
of course,
time.
The truth is, I'm behind now anyway because I don't get the updates of the damned OSs. It's really irritating. That's a problem with Android.
I agree.
Yeah. The open accessory stuff was pretty cool.
What's that? Tell us about that.
Android Open Accessory, like the first of all, the ADK. I mean, this entire conference is just filled with nerd bait, and my first bit of nerd bait that really got me was this Arduino-based ADK, which is a hardware development kit for being able to connect anything to Android via USB initially and then Bluetooth later, and being able to just add peripherals and program this board to interact with Android. That was really cool. But Android
Gina, I think that's huge, and I don't think that they nearly speculated enough about what that could do. It really does become, as I said earlier, the net of things, and you can use that ADK to control, a lawnmower or your stove or refrigerator or eventually a car.
Well, they had a giant labyrinth game actually.
That was as a stockholder, I was pissed at that.
That was expensive.
That was a waste of money.
I wanted to get in it. They wouldn't let people in it.
Oh, you wanted to stand on it?
I wanted to stand on it.
The exercise equipment demo was pretty good. The stationary bike, you plug in your Android and then you play this game where if you pedal faster, you keep the little robot above. So I mean that was really neat. Like fitness equipment, I thought was a really good sort of demo.
I think there's no question in my mind that if Google sets a standard and there's home automation standard, it all works with Android. And developers can write hardware interfaces for Android devices. This is all good. The question really is, will people adopt? Will they? You have to get critical mass to make this work, right? And will that happen? Kevin, do you have an opinion on that?
Well, I think we're all. This is the thing I always said about the two halves of Android, in that all the little consumer electronic devices are running Android. They're starting to see that happen, and we're going to see more and more of that because it's easier than writing their own firmware, and they can just deploy some release of Android onto that, and they don't have to go and do the deal with Google and try and run Gmail and the rest of it. They can just run the OS and use that. But if sort of that set of developers can then plug to the phone-like and tablet-like devices that we expect as well, that starts getting very interesting because it means we've got this. We've got a shared OS, which is somewhat interesting, but also we've got a whole set of standard communication stacks there that you can talk back and forth with. So you've got USB stack, you've got a Bluetooth stack, you've got a Wi-Fi stack, so they can all communicate over those and find each other. So the challenge is going to be, can they make it straightforward? Can they make it as easy to use as buying everything from Apple? And that hasn't been really true of DLNA and the things that have been deployed previously. But there's some potential for that to work there, and we're starting to see sort of bits and pieces of that interoperating. And,
let me ask you a question, each of you developer types. If because the interesting thing too is it brings in a new developer community, the hardware developer community. If you were going to launch a device tomorrow using Kickstarter and somebody else's manufacturing using this ADK, what's the craziest thing you could think of?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
Well, that's good. You got robots. Don't you understand anything?
Oh my God! There's an entire floor full of robots outside.
Everything's full of robots. Little robots. They had a flying car there last night as well. Yeah.
Did they?
It didn't actually fly, but it was a car that had previously flown.
It could fly if you all clapped your hands and wished hard enough.
I want a remote control jetpack so I can strap it on Kevin and fly him around this press room, all Android powered.
Kevin, I know you're sitting right next to Gina, but if she says anything about strapping anything on, just move a little bit farther away. I'm sorry.
Oh, the ADK conversation. There was immediate sex toy discussion amongst my peers sitting in the.
That's where Jeff was going.
Maybe
we
I just
know
have
that.
the perverts. I don't know, but it was
I think I got in early on that tweet. Yeah, I was definitely the Android powered vibrator. Yeah.
Well, there is somebody made a French kissing remote control French kissing machine. You saw that right in the news. So
I didn't. How does that work?
Well, I don't know. You kiss the thing. And then the thing transmits what you're doing over the internet to a receiver, which then kisses the other person. That's
Okay,
real.
then.
But okay, so let's not talk about that. What else could you do?
I
with
feel
it?
weird.
I feel dirty.
It's very weird.
I'm sorry I brought that up.
Well, I think you could program imagine if you didn't just get a recipe, but with the recipe came a routine for your oven to do the perfect baked turkey. I'm stretching here, but that's what we want to do, right? What all could you do if things were controlled? As somebody said, forget the Mondo remote controls and all that.
Right.
Right. But that's been heading toward death anyway.
Arduino stuff is cool, but it's all kind of toys, and I just think it's smart for Google to build.
If you to sketch it out and build it, you'd obviously then go and get it manufactured.
Right.
But the point was, you can use the Arduino stuff.
Prototype.
That piece is fully open source as well, so you've got open source on both sides. Arduino's dev stuff is Java-ish too, so there's a lot of sort of shared knowledge you can go back and forth. So I think that was like 1,000 child hobbyists just got interested.
Here's what I'd do if I were Google. I'd say that you do a contest that whoever manages to get to a certain level with a device on Kickstarter, Google will invest some huge amount of money to license and manufacture.
You know what we're going to end up having? A coffee pot in Cambridge that you could push a button and it makes coffee. It's like 20 years later, all we did is we improved it so you could actually make the coffee instead of just
Except
watching
now it'll be an espresso machine, and you can make it decaf or not.
Maybe Apple has the right idea, which is like making products people actually want and can use.
What? I just want the cool stuff, Leo. Forget whether
No,
we
that's what I'm saying. Is that Google makes stuff for geeks.
Yeah, that's a point. That's a point.
But that's what I was talking to Dan Gilmore, and he said, "Okay, I've got an Apple TV, I've got an Android. How do I remote control one with the other?" And you can't at the moment. There's like a double twist has just hacked in sending music from one to the other, but they had to reverse engineer Apple's protocol, so who knows how long that will last.
But truthfully, come on. You got a choice between an Apple TV and a Google TV. Let's leave out Roku and some of the other guys, but say Apple TV and Google TV. Which one do you buy?
Well, I bought the Apple TV. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can. But wait, you can control the Google TV with your Android phone. Does that change it?
I'd like to control the Apple TV with my Android phone.
No, you can't. You have it comes with a remote,
which I've lost down the back of the sofa. So I have to use the.
If you had an iPhone, you could control it.
Yes, well, I use the iPod to control it, but that's exactly the problem. Yeah,
it's not open. I understand, but
it could be. They could. But what I've seen from Apple is that they're going the other way. If you plug your Android phone into the Mac, it launches iPhoto, but it hides the photos from you. Now that used to work, right? There is a USB folder on there that it's called DSIM and has the photos in there. They're numbered the same way that every other damn phone on earth has.
Right.
But iPhone is deliberately handing out the Android one. So that's I call shenanigans there. So I think Apple is playing with this to say, okay, can we make this feel a little more awkward for you, as opposed to can we make our one feel better? And maybe it's just a bug, but it's a bug they could fix, and they've probably deprioritized.
What else what other Android news is there? So Ice Cream Sandwich is coming later this year. That will unify the two platforms. 3.1, which is a fixed Honeycomb, and after using Honeycomb for a little while, I can see why they might want to fix it. Will come out soon. I mean, Honeycomb's I don't know what do you think, Gina? I mean, this is the first time I've spent a lot of time playing with Honeycomb. I had the Zoom for a little while. It just doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, the tab is really cool. It's a nice tablet. It's a good weight. The power button is in a sensible place. I mean, it made me really look at Honeycomb again and get like, oh, this is something I'm kind of excited about, right? Because it really felt half baked on the Zoom. I think one of the things that I was really excited about yesterday was the OpenGL head tracking demo, and I actually think this is Ice Cream Sandwich. I don't think that this is Honeycomb, but Ice Cream Sandwich could recognize the head movement and sort of adjust the perspective on screen, which is really cool.
That was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and it could recognize facial features, so it could change the eyes and the mouth and the nose. And then the video, and I thought this would be really exciting to you, Leo, the video chat with where, two people are in front of an eyesight and a microphone, and one is talking, and Android knows who's talking and zooms in on that face and it gets close, and the other person starts talking and it knows to shift. That was pretty neat.
As Kevin knows, though, most business video conferencing software does this already.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Well, but that's business. That's business.
But that's expensive video conferences. The point is they just commoditize something again, right?
Right.
Yes.
You know, it's like they did with the mapping stuff. The mapping stuff was like, oh, there's all these cool things to do with mapping if you buy this device and subscribe to it. And Google's like, okay, with software, we've done that.
Right.
And so they're doing the same thing with this video stuff. And that, it makes sense. Suddenly, you don't have to buy special cameras and fret about it to do video conferencing. You can just pick up a couple of these things and wave them at each other and so on.
Here's my bigger question. Can you do Connect? In two ways. One, can you not have a Connect device and use this to make your own games like Connect? Or second, can you use the Connect hardware without anything else and hack it into this?
So the demos were Connect-like, but they weren't doing it with the infrared thing. They were doing it with the camera. So it wasn't as, they weren't doing as smooth a job as Connect does of representing you on the screen. They were just tracking the guy moving his head and moving a 3D thing with that. So obviously they're edging towards that, but they didn't say that we're using the sensors.
Well, but here's where I think it goes.
That may be an issue that hasn't dropped yet, though.
The new UI, right? It's put that there. Imagine this. You're sitting on your couch, and all you have to do is start swiping your hand, and you move things.
As somebody who has used Connect to play games a lot.
Yeah.
No?
Oh,
no
really?
good on the swiping? You don't like the swiping?
It's too much freaking work.
It's a lot of calorie burn.
It's fine if you're dancing and you're already standing up. I don't know. I'm not sure that people really want to do this. It's so easy just to do a mouse. I don't know. I mean, but I'm glad they're trying stuff, and you need to try stuff to see what's going to work, what's going to stick, and so forth.
I was doing a presentation at CodeConf last month, and I didn't have the clicker for my my keynote slideshow, and I was like, gosh, I wish I could just like this.
Yeah,
go to the next slide.
maybe I'm cynical because I've seen this first. I can remember 11 years ago on Tech TV, we demonstrated lamps that you turned on by voice.
Right.
And it's a great demo because I can remember Jim Louderback standing there going, "Tech TV lamp on, Tech TV lamp on, Tech T." Yeah.
The clapper.
It's just the switch works pretty well. The keyboard works pretty well. The mouse works pretty well. It has to be 100%. It has to be. I mean, look, I'll agree. The touch interface works. That's intuitive. You grasp it immediately. This pinching, the zooming, the swiping does work. So it is possible to come up with new interfaces that work.
So I'll tell you a funny story. I walked into the Moscone Center the other day early to register, and to register for the conference, they have all these CR48 laptops laid out with barcodes. So you see barcode scanners. So you scan your, to get your ticket. And I walk up to one, and it's got this screen with a green button, and I touched the screen of the CR48.
Yeah.
And nothing happened.
Whoops.
And then I went, oh, and then I grabbed the barcode scanner. But it was interesting because it was representative of this big general conflict that I have as a developer being here and doing day one Android and day two Chrome is like, what do I develop for? I don't know. They're both so cool. I don't know.
Android.
I mean, Android was day one.
Yeah, I wouldn't develop.
But if you develop on the web, it runs on Android. That's
that's true.
You may end up having to develop for both or decide which one makes most sense. I mean, the other thing we're seeing is that a bunch of people are using HTML for the UI and then some app plumbing to do some other bits and pieces. So you still want to use HTML because of it's flexible and you can change it quickly to do the sort of broader UI. But then you want to, if you're doing some specific control of something else, then you go to the native thing. And the stuff they were showing today with accelerated Canvas and accelerated GL was pretty impressive stuff for web dev. It wasn't like, oh, this is clearly creaky web stuff. It looked good and looked like it was working well.
And as anybody who watched Security Now last hour knows, WebGL has been hacked, and in fact, or maybe has been hacked. VUPEN, a company claims to have a hack that allows you to get by all of the sandboxing and own a computer through WebGL. So the more of these technologies they build in, the more difficult it's going to be to secure these things also.
Yeah, that's always been the case, right?
Right. I admire. Though I have to say, yeah, play with your tablet. I have to say,
this whole time Kevin has just been with the tablet.
I know. The maps look great on there.
Still for you, look.
Yeah, there. You know where I am. That's latitude, huh? Yeah, you know where I am. Kevin and I are the only people who actually use Latitude.
It's true. They've got 3 or 4 others here. I think they work for Google though.
It's kind of a it's fun.
I don't need to. My iPhone does it for me.
Oh, shut up! Just shut up. So you have to turn on. Let's see. I'll turn on the Latitude layer, and then I will see where Kevin is. Of course, I know where he is, but
actually, it thinks I'm in Las Vegas at the moment. Apparently,
I
hit my location, and it goes. Oh, I got confused. I think I'm using like my laptop as Wi-Fi, so it's got very confused about where I am.
No, I see where you are. You're not where you are. You're at home.
Oh, really?
You're in Menlo Park. It says. I wonder if I can update that. And it says 16 minutes ago you were there. So I don't know what that
does have a jetpack.
It says you're at SRI. It says 15 minutes ago you were at SRI. Oh, you know why, Kevin? You probably have other devices with Latitude on them.
No, I think what it is we're on some shared Wi-Fi here, and it's doing by Wi-Fi rather than by
that could be
geolocation.
So that's actually where the Wi-Fi.
This is where the Wi-Fi companies things live when they're not at I/O.
That's cool. I like that.
If I wake it up on this one, maybe this will be smarter about it.
You probably have to turn on the GPS and all that stuff too, right? I think this is very close to being an iPad competitor, but it's the software doesn't feel as mature, and the lack of apps. I mean, I downloaded every app I could find that actually takes advantage of it. Interesting, like the Kindle app, while it's not designed for this,
the Kindle was pretty good. Yeah.
Does a very nice job of making it easy to read, and it rotates.
Things do scale better on Android than they do on the iPhone. If you get a previous.
I'll grant you that. App. Yeah, I'll grant you that.
Yeah, and in the sessions, I mean, the sessions are all about developers make quality apps, be aggressively compatible, take advantage of the new the new capabilities of Honeycomb and Ice Cream Sandwich, but make your apps compatible for all kinds of different screen sizes.
Well, and the new development kit will do that kind of more automatically, right?
There are more developer tools that make that easier. And they're kind of pushing this agreement to update devices a little faster as sort of a motivation for developers to update their apps faster.
Right.
Are you hearing any buzz from developers there of things that besides the applause meter seem to excite them, or they started to think about what they want to develop to?
Everyone that I've talked to has been had the same sort of Android versus Chrome conflict that I've had. Honestly, the energy level here has been really high. I mean, I feel like people are super excited. I mean, this is Vegas for geeks. I mean, Google gets geeks, and they know how to present and give developers stuff that they want. So I've just sensed a lot of really, really high excitement about everything. The Arduino definitely got great reception, and the Chrome keynote today also went really well. We should probably maybe talk about that a little.
Let's take a break, and we will. I was just playing with this is the Google Body, which has been optimized for the tablet, and that's really cool. I don't know if it's there's your brain. This is Gina's brain, and if I zoom in, ooh, there's your vascular system. It's kind of cool. It's kind of an interesting.
I have enough veins to go around the globe 3 times.
Let's take a break. From Google I/O in San Francisco at the Moscone West Center. It's Gina Trapani and Kevin Marks joining us. Jeff Jarvis is back home in New York. I'm in the TWiT cottage, and we will have more news from Google and the Googleverse in just a bit. But before we go much farther, let me talk a little bit about our friends at Squarespace.com, the secret behind exceptional websites. We talk about the web, and just kind of with the assumption that you're there, you're participating, and I guess we really shouldn't assume that. If you've got a Facebook page or your Twitter account, you're not completely there yet. You need your own homepage. You need a place where you live. And the easiest way to do this, the most secure way to do this is Squarespace.com. That's where the secret behind exceptional websites. If you go to squarespace.com/twig right now, you can get a tour of all the Squarespace features. There's social integration, their iPhone and iPad apps. There's seamless blog importing from Movable Type, WordPress, TypePad, and Blogger. Great stats. I mean, the stats package is, I think, incredibly valuable. to anybody who's doing a site to understand who sees your site, where they spend time. These things let you make a better site. Of course, great templates, too. Just go to squarespace.com/twig. Click the Try It Free button. You'll get a 2 weeks free complete setup. This is a great way to set up a website for a friend or family member who doesn't have a site. And then you could just, because basically when all you do is you name the site and you give it a password and an email address. They don't even do a CAPTCHA anymore. Thank you. They've got rid of that. So this is about as simple as it is. And then the beauty of this is you can very easily pass it on to them so that they can do their own site. I love that. I want you to try it today. We use it for our Inside Twit blog, and we couldn't be happier. Squarespace.com/twig. It is just the way to make an exceptional website. And you need a website. And your family and your friends need a website, too. Gina Trapani, Kevin Marks, Jeff Jarvis. I think we covered Android. Today's keynote was about Chrome, and they announced these. Well, aren't they just really netbooks, Gina? I mean, isn't that really what they're saying?
Hate speech. Using a line.
Isn't it just really a netbook?
It's a netbook that boots up in seconds, that updates itself, and that gets everything. I like the way I think Sundar referred to regular operating systems like Windows, or I guess OS X as well, as these like legacy decisions, that we've got these layers and layers of software on our computers, and we don't need them anymore. Right. So they built it from the ground up. So it's a machine that boots up instantly, is secure by default, and then updates itself, right? So that's a pretty good idea. It's a good promise. And they announced they added a few things. They've got a media player so you can play music and movies. They also took what I think is one of Android's best features. On Android, there's that share menu. So as an app developer, you can hook into the share menu. So you can be in one app and then hit share and then send it to another. Well, Chrome OS is going to have something really similar. You can build web service like file handlers into Chrome OS. So you can be, they've got this new file browsing system in Chrome OS now. And you can say, hey, for all my .doc files, add this little button that says send to Dropbox, which is super nice. So you can be able to hook into web services, not just Google Web Services, and handle different kind of files.
That's huge. So I'll be able to use Dropbox for storage then.
Yeah, you'll be able to send stuff to Dropbox. You'll be able to edit different kinds of files and different web services, which is huge for sure. Yeah. And full jailbreaking built in. They made it clear that they were encouraging developers to jailbreak, and that their partners wouldn't like that, but they were doing that anyway.
They say it's jailbreak ready. I love that.
Jailbreak ready. Yeah. Yep. Which of course got great reception. Yeah. In fact, they showed a video that was really great about throwing your Chrome OS notebook in the river, and then you don't lose a thing. Everything is just in the cloud, but don't throw it in the river. But if you do, everything will be okay. And then there was this incredible presentation by the Angry Birds guys, or one particular guy who had a sweatshirt, which I was coveting. It was a red sweatshirt with an Angry Bird, the red bird face on it, and announces that Angry Bird's in the Chrome Web Store, and immediately loses everybody in the room.
You could play it in the browser.
In the browser.
Yep.
Is that HTML5?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, that's awesome.
They said they were using WebGL and falling back to Canvas if your browser doesn't have WebGL.
Oh, I wonder how it works in Canvas.
Well, it was looking pretty responsive. I was trying to run it on here, but this net connection wasn't being happy about it.
Wait a minute, it's free? Wow.
It is.
It's free, and they sell you Mighty Eagles.
Yeah. And I've spent many, many, many dollars on Mighty Eagles, so it's really not free. Far from it.
The other big announcement for developers, the 95% 5% cut was a big thing for developers as well.
So the Chrome Store, they'll take 5%. That's all.
That's
it. Network theory. That's how you grow networks to be huge.
Wow.
Right. The less you take, the bigger the network, the more the network is worth.
Wow, that's great.
But that's not really competing with Apple. That's competing with PayPal, right? PayPal charges you around 4%. It varies because it's a fixed fee plus a percent.
How is it not competing with Apple?
Because this is on the web. It's on Chrome, so it's basically web development. It's a payment method.
Apple doesn't sell. Well, Apple does sell apps.
Apple has the App Store.
Yeah.
But you can't do it with a web app. Apple Apple is like, it's a physical thing on a physical device. You're buying that. You're not.
But Kevin, the wall between apps and the web is going to disappear. No.
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah.
I don't think users really know or care, do they? Yeah. Maybe they do.
One thing
if I could put Angry Birds in my browser, what's the difference between Angry Birds from the Apple Store and Angry Birds in my browser? It's the same thing. So it's going to be, the difference is de minimis.
I don't understand why the battery power isn't like 24 hours. It's less than my MacBook.
I don't understand why it's not free.
The machine.
Yeah.
The machine.
It seems expensive.
Well, that was the other thing they announced. Did you see that they announced for $28 a month they'll like rent you it and do a full service business,
including hardware updates. That's what's really interesting. Now it becomes a subscription machine.
Do I get free internet access too?
Yeah, I think so. Actually, that wasn't quite clear. Hang on.
Maybe you get that 100 megabytes a month. That's probably what you get is the kind of minimal internet access, but something. And I think for a lot of people,
for enterprise sales, that's if the company buys, I think, N number, you not only get the machines, you get and the contract to replace the hardware, upgrade the hardware, but you also get other functionality, I think, to manage your network.
And if you're a student, $20
a month. $20. And students are in the best shape of all to use this because they do have Wi-Fi all over campus.
You bet.
Yes.
And they lose laptops like fiends.
Yes.
So this is a great solution. It's funny, when Abby arrived at college, they rent you a bike. Same idea. Because your bike's going to get stolen anyway, so might as well just rent it to you.
Right, they're just community bikes around campus.
It's a community bike, basically. Yeah.
Yep.
When I dropped Jake off, I made the mistake. I don't know if I told the story or not. I was moving something around in the room, and the bookcase fell and cracked right into his roommate's brand new machine.
Oh no!
I was off at Best Buy that night, frantically buying him a new machine.
Oh my God!
Oh, for Chrome. Chrome will look very cheap right now.
Yeah, no kidding. So, and are they attractive? Do they look like? I mean, the picture I'm looking at, I don't know if this is real. It looks like an air.
Right?
Yeah. The CR48 is very black. Old
CR48 is horrible. Yeah.
They look pretty shiny.
So you guys don't have yours yet, so you can't hold them up.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Asus model, which looks kind of surprisingly like a MacBook Air, actually. So $20 a month. You get of course, internet access is free for students because, as you say, Jeff, they already have Wi-Fi. But does it have these have 3G built into it too?
They can do. They're offering options for that. So that Samsung said $429 for Wi-Fi and $499 for 3G.
So I think we're going to see, this will be interesting. We'll see if a whole ecosystem springs up around these, with some people providing, free stuff in return for a 2-year contract, that kind of thing.
Well, this is definitely the give this to your parents machine.
Well, it's so secure. I mean, that's the idea. Okay, here's Angry Birds. Now, what is this? I get an SD version or an HD version?
It'll load HD, I think, by default.
Gina, answer me that. Why is it just a parent's machine?
Sorry, go ahead. Were you saying something?
Upstaged by a bird.
I'm not playing.
It's the zero tech support machine. That's the idea, right?
Yeah. But Sundar is very big on saying this is secure, this is secure, this is secure.
Yeah, but I also wonder why it's not. I mean, I guess I'm confused here. If you were all cloud livers, and here we are,
what are we? Cloud livers?
Livers.
Livers.
As in people who live in.
My liver is now the size of a cloud after last night. No.
If my liver could only be in the cloud. All right, you cloud
was in the cloud the other night.
We're cloudizens. We're all cloudizens. Ooh, isn't that wonderfully awful?
I like cloud livers better.
So if here we are, the show about cloud, right?
Yes.
Then shouldn't we be seeing what the advantage is of living fully in the cloud then versus the advantage of having the machine? Are we just trying to say, I don't like this automatic gear shift. I like to be in control of my car.
I agree. I really see the advantage of living in the cloud. That's basically how I've been, living the last few years. Is all my stuff is now in Google Docs or in Salesforce or something out there that isn't on the machine. When I have to stick it onto the machine, it's a bunch of work. It's like, I've got to go. It's not on this one. It's on that one. What a pain. How do I stop that happening?
Is this? So, yeah, is it going to be? I'm thinking of two examples right now of how this doesn't work for. Like, for instance, Angry Birds. I don't know what's wrong, but it's not playing. I got the music. I don't got a picture.
Oh, like your Microsoft machine never does that.
Well, I'm just saying. And then I tried to sign up for the music service on my Android device, and I guess Google didn't test their terms of service because it went on so long I couldn't get to the button and I couldn't scroll down. I can't tell you how frustrating this was.
Okay, Grandpa.
We will make every effort to make it so that you cannot accept the terms of service.
I couldn't.
We want to really make sure that you want it.
I had to go to a desktop because I couldn't do it on either the tablet, the iPad, or the phone. So it was like these things.
Frustrating.
You're obfuscating, Grandpa.
I'm too old.
What's the advantage? What's the advantage of having, a local storage machine with all the software there, all that kind of stuff, versus the cloud? What crosses the line?
The same things
besides
happen.
Access.
The same things happen. I understand.
Yeah. And so what I'm confused about is why Google at the event would dismiss the machine as a grandma machine when you'd think they'd be pushing it as no, don't forget about all this other stuff, all these other worries. Just we'll take care of you. With a great machine that has the full power of the cloud. I don't get their positioning.
I mean, there definitely was that. There was definitely the slide that was like, the internet is bigger than any hard drive you will ever have, so you should just store everything in it. I mean, there was definitely that angle. But there was also the like, hey, we know you're developers and you like your big fat IDEs and you've got your specialized tools. And, so maybe for the nerds who want to, who are building their own PCs, maybe it's not for you. But keep in mind that this is a great machine to share, to have in a family, and to give to your parents. And when you go home for Thanksgiving, you're not going to have to do tech support. So
how do you think
they took a couple angles.
How do you think Samsung and Best Buy will market this? What's their pitch going to be, you think?
No, they have no. There's no pitch. They want to sell you an HP loaded down with a lot of crap.
No, actually, Leo, laptops are lost leaders at all these stores.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They're not profit at all. They want to sell you what they want to sell you is the bags and the plugs and everything else.
And the service, which they won't be able to sell you with
and the
this.
Service. So I think they might actually be pushing this. This might be the reason the price might be up there is because it finally gives them margin in the stores. And you get an ongoing relationship. If you sell access with this, that's far more lucrative, right? Because AT&T will pay you.
I'm going to make a prediction.
Yeah.
This is the Google Wave, Google TV of this Google I/O. This ain't going.
Next Google I/O 2012, Chrome OS will be done.
Not going anywhere. We will talk in 1 year. Chrome OS? Chrome OS, Chrome. What do they call them? Chromebooks. Chromebooks. Crapbooks. I don't want a crap book. I don't think anybody does. I don't think this is. I don't. I just.
Okay, I don't argue with that. So then why the heck?
You know what Grandpa should buy? An iPad.
Yes, Android devices. Devices. Yeah.
An iPad. At some point, maybe Android will be competitive. But right now, an iPad. Right? And it's about the same price. It's a little more expensive.
Yep.
Yeah.
More fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I gotta say.
Believe me, I'm rooting for Android. I'm not, and I'm rooting for Chrome, but I just don't see it.
Yeah. There goes the pin and the balloon.
Especially without Netflix.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, they showed their own video store as well, but yeah, it's not the same.
Good.
It's
that's what I want.
Get another damn video store. Yeah.
I can't wait to rent movies from YouTube.
You're the cynic today.
I am. I don't know why. Because look at this is like the third Google I/O in a row. That
I know. No, you're right. You're
they
right.
Keep floating these ideas that just don't. But I do think the strongest thing that they said at the Google I/O this year was the Android everywhere. I would like to see them develop Android as a platform for mobile, for portable, for small unit devices. But I just don't see them on the desktop. I don't see a desktop play, and I don't see a cloud play for them.
Well, I think the other thing is the netbook just dead?
Yes, of course. It died a year ago.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
sales went down. Yeah,
sales went down. Everybody bought tablets, or I'm sorry, iPads.
iPads, not actual tablets.
Yeah, no, not even tablets, just iPads. I was trying to be generic, but there's no point in it. It's obvious.
And you mean that the first accessory for Honeycomb is going to be a keyboard? So
yeah.
I mean, you're going to have a tablet plugged into a keyboard.
That cracks
anyway.
me up, though. I mean, I see people with their iPad in a case that marries a keyboard to it.
Get a laptop.
Get a laptop for crying out loud.
Use a Mac Air.
If you want a laptop, get a laptop.
I can hear myself. Kevin's taking pictures of me with his tablet.
That's
right
another.
now.
By the way, big disappointment on at least this hardware, and I don't know if it's the same on the 7-inch. But like my barcode scanner doesn't work. My HDR a lot of camera programs crash on this device.
On the tab.
Yeah.
Oh.
What kind of stand you got there? Stand you have there, Leo?
Oh, this is an iPad stand that I'm just adapting. It'll hold any extremely expensive thin consumer garbage. Will just perfect. What are you showing there, Kevin? What do you got?
I was showing the Angry Birds and Gina. Hang on.
Angry Birds and Gina.
two for one.
I think Honeycomb on Google TV is interesting. I think they might actually be able to pull that out of the fire. That's cool.
I'm more skeptical about that.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm really confused at what I'm seeing. It's almost like an augmented reality browser for Angry Birds. I can't.
Going to hit Gina? Yeah.
I can't quite figure it out. All right. There's still tons of other stuff to talk about. I mean, it's not all just Google I/O. So we will get back to.
There is.
There is.
We haven't got Wi-Fi. We don't know.
Nothing happened.
Showing what Google
The Wi-Fi here has been
Microsoft
awful.
did not buy Skype. Nothing happened.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We got
Nothing has happened this week. Everything that is of importance in the world is happening right now at Moscone West in San Francisco because Kevin Marks, Gina Trapani is there. Jeff Jarvis and I are watching from afar. and we will be back in just a bit. Speaking of Netflix, let me offer you a free month of Netflix, which will run, by the way, on your Google TV, so you're not completely left out in the cold. And I hope that they put the new Netflix interface on Google TV because I just love how easy it is to use Netflix on your Apple TV, on your Roku box, on lots of Blu-ray players, lots of new TVs, of course, your PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, your Nintendo Wii. Netflix everywhere. And why do you want Netflix? Well, of course, you probably know about their DVD by mail business, but what they're really doing great with is this streaming stuff. And it's not rentals. I hear Google and Amazon saying $3.99 to watch a movie. No, $7.99 a month, all you can eat. And there are tens of thousands of movies on Watch Instantly. I feel no need to rent movies, I have to say. Well, okay, the other night, Henry wanted to see Donnie Darko, and it wasn't, I had to get the DVD of it, and I was in a hurry, so I paid $2.99 to Amazon. So occasionally, what this really does is it conditions you to getting movies the minute you want to watch them. So many great flicks on here. And you can watch them instantly on your Mac and PC as well. And, of course, as Gina well knows, all of Glee are seasons 1 and 2 on here. And I presume season 3 will be on as soon as it's done.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to wait for the discs anymore. Now, of course, I will put Donnie Darko, the Blu-ray, on here because I will want to see the Blu-ray version of this later. But I'm a huge Netflix fan. If you've not tried it, please go to netflix.com/twit and maybe tell friends and family too that it's out there. Netflix.com/twit. It's great on your iPad too. I would love to see a Netflix app on Android. I think that we're getting close. I don't know what the deal is on that, but I would
wasn't the deal that it was DRM issues? But
right.
if the studios have allowed you to rent movies on there, then they must be happy with the DRM.
They must have figured out a way.
That's promising.
Yeah. Because
the issue is not anything technical on Netflix side. It's them persuading the studios that Android is secure enough for them to do it.
Yeah. I mean, and I for instance, I love this is 16:9. I mean, the biggest thing about this is that it's a widescreen compared to the iPad. So this is just like made for watching, Game of Thrones or something. Actually, the HBO app is on here, so I can watch Game of Thrones on here. So that's cool.
The HBO app is on Android as well?
Yeah.
It is.
Am I wrong? I thought it was.
I need the smart cover.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it. I'm really sorry to say it.
No,
it's one of my favorite things about the iPad.
It's great.
Not even any magnets in here. You could just duct tape it on.
Duct tape it on.
Yeah. Here, I'll just weld the hinge on.
Floppy.
And then it would just go like this.
You need a stand, you know? Yeah. Not quite.
A little
Not
frustrating.
quite the same effect.
Meanwhile, back to Netflix. I don't know how we got off the subject. Netflix.com/twit. Watch instantly. I loved this movie. I'm such a romantic. The American President. Aaron Sorkin wrote it. Great movie. Annette Bening, Michael Douglas. It's fiction. It's about the widowed U.S. president who falls in love with a Washington lobbyist and their fairy tale courtship. Hey, this is a democracy. Forget Kate and Wills. We've got Michael Douglas and Annette Bening. Netflix.com/twit. Enjoy. You will. I know you will. So what about, actually, you'd be a good person to talk with this about this, Kevin, because you are a big voiceover internet guy. You did Ribbit for British Telecom.
Right.
What the hell? $8.5 billion for Skype? Does that make any sense?
It makes some sense in that they're buying a very large customer base, and it's a direction thing for them for their phones, sure. So, if given that in my head it was like we should be able to standardize this stuff and interoperate on this soon, and that we're starting to see that. But Skype is still the biggest installed base and is in many measures the biggest telco. So Microsoft buying that it fits in with their making their mobile strategy more.
Right.
But the question then comes: is Microsoft going to maintain the non-Microsoft platform versions of Skype, or are they going to let those rot? And that becomes tricky. I hope that's not true, because the Skype has succeeded by building clients on lots of different platforms.
Right.
Whereas we're stuck with, on the Mac, we're stuck with the balkanized thing that they promised to open up and they haven't yet.
FaceTime. Yeah, that's not going to
FaceTime.
happen. It has to be cross-platform. It has to be open, doesn't it?
Right.
Well, does it have to be open? I guess Skype's cross-platform without being open.
Yes. But that's its strength and its weakness. Its strength is that it is cross-platform and it works reliably on a bunch of different platforms, and you can use it without worrying what someone's running. But that's the challenge for the rest of us out here saying, okay, for an open alternative, how do we do this? Can we actually, we know that we have the technology. We know how to do voice over IP. This is not new in magic. There's a bunch of protocols that are standardized for that. The tricky part is discovering accounts and deciding how you call them, and that's the piece that Skype has got down nicely. They've got their own private version of that. So, the other counterplay is that it is a large social network. It's a place people go to chat and talk to each other as well as make phone calls and video calls. There are a lot of people who use Skype chat the way that us old guys use IRC, or lots of people use Gtalk, or whatever your favorite chat is. There are lots of people who just live in Skype chat because that's their IM or their business IM. So that piece, coupled with Messenger, would probably make Microsoft a very big chat player.
But that's the thing that surprised me, because Messenger kind of does everything that Skype does, including video calls. Mm-hmm. But so they're really not...
But only to other Messenger users and only on Windows.
Right. What about the idea that Microsoft uses Skype in their business, in their enterprise, and of course gets the benefit of this customer base also, and then because they are a stakeholder in Facebook, licenses some of it to Facebook. Who could really use this is Facebook.
That's where I think the real benefit is, yes.
And I wonder if Microsoft didn't think, we can make a little money on the side by relicensing it over to Facebook. Imagine embedded video chat in Facebook. I think it would be huge.
You know what it does? It gives you chat roulette without the
penises, the peni.
Yeah, right, because it's your friends. And
none of my friends
you're
have
not going to do it,
so it's okay.
Rub it in, Leo. Rub it in.
I wasn't thinking of you specifically, but now that you mention it, no, I think that's. I think that to me, now I know that there were rumors that Google was trying to buy it, Facebook was trying to buy it, and Microsoft swoops in, offering a huge amount of money, $8.5 billion, and
doesn't eBay feel like a dork?
No, you know what? eBay made money.
Because they still own that.
They have a 30% stake. 30% is 2.5 or 6 billion. They made $1 billion.
They made more on this sale than they did in the last sale.
Is that amazing?
That is.
Wow.
I mean, when you sell Skype for that much money.
Yeah, they're not feeling like dorks.
No.
Okay, I take it back.
Meg Whitman's going, I told you. You should have elected me. I think the Facebook just didn't have the money probably to buy $8.5 billion Skype. Had they had that in the bank, I think it would have been. They would be the most likely people to take advantage of Skype, and I suspect they may still. That's my point. Is that Microsoft probably looked and said, "Hey, I bet we could sell Zuck a little bit of this." When I say Zuck, I want to.
Yeah, I like the impression.
Hey, Zuck.
Hey.
There is other news, but I don't care. All right. One more story, and then we'll get to your tip and your tool and your number. But one more story, and this I found in an interesting place. I found it on Hacker News. It's in the wrong spot. A guy named Aaron Greenspan actually posted this as an answer on Quora. He started a money transfer company called Face Cash, and he's very concerned. The California State Senate Committee on Banking, Finance, and Insurance, there's a law, AB, that they put out, AB 2789. Actually, it's effective. It was effective January 1st. It's called the Money Transmission Act. He says this is a ticking time bomb, and in 50 days, it's going to kill everybody but the credit card companies and people who use the credit card companies like PayPal. Essentially, this was a law that was essentially written by something called the Money Services Roundtable, who include Western Union, MoneyGram, TravelX, American Express, the credit card companies. They passed this law saying that if you want to transmit money, you have to buy a license in the state of California for $500,000. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
Yeah, $500,000. And furthermore, that's just California. And many other states apparently have similar laws, which the credit card companies have shoved through kind of, surreptitiously. In other words, if you wanted to start a money transfer service, a Bitcoin or something that actually allowed people to pay money without using a credit card, without using Visa or MasterCard or American Express, you would have to pay millions of dollars in license fees state by state because there's no federal law.
Restraint of trade, Jesus.
Big time restraint of trade. And that's what he's saying. He says this is what we really need is a federal law that overrides the state law. Because essentially the problem is that if you wanted, as he wanted to do, start a company like Face Cash, you'd have to go to your investors and say the first $500,000 that you're going to give me is going to go to the state of California, just so we can do business in California alone. So if you wonder,
doesn't that violate the Interstate Commerce Clause?
Pardon me?
Doesn't that violate the Interstate Commerce Clause? That's weird.
Well,
so California says you can't send money out of California, or you can't send money into California. I mean, that's
it does, doesn't it? It seems like that's why a federal law could easily override this.
Right.
I think some of this has to do with terrorism. It's such a great.
Terrorism is a great excuse for
so many
financial
things.
Tracking. Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because if you transmit money illegally without a license, you will go to the jail under the Patriot Act.
Yes.
So this is a very nice little knot they've tied here. I just wanted to bring this up, make people aware of it. Check in your own state. You will probably have something similar. If you're in California, it's AB 2789, passed into law September 2010, effective the 1st of this year. And they have until, I think, July 1st, 2011 to get that license.
Wow.
Yeah.
You should get Denise to cover that on This Week in Law.
I should, because I'll tell you, if I hadn't been reading headline news and seen this Quora post by Aaron Greenspan, I wouldn't have known anything about this. This just stealthed right in under the wire. But that's why I wanted to bring it up on Twig, because we have smart listeners who understand the implications. Yeah, essentially, it's the credit card company saying, you're not going to take our business, boyo.
Well, there was the other stealth law this week was the renewal of the .NET domain contract. Did you see that?
No, what happened there?
So the RIA and so on are saying that VeriSign should only be able to renew that if they can do the same shutting down of .NETs that they've done to .coms. So they're trying to extend that to the .NETs as well. And you remember when they took the poker sites offline, the .coms went down, the .NET stayed up because that wasn't under that control. So they're trying to close that loophole by strong-arming VeriSign. And that was I think there was comments taken on it yesterday.
This is why it is so important that you be literate, tech literate, and understand these issues. because this stuff is happening all the time, and the people who understand it will manipulate everybody else. This is why it's so important, I think, for us to do what we do to educate. So 2 very interesting. We'll continue to follow both those stories. But time has come for our tip, our number, and our tool of the week. Let's start with Gina Trapani, who has been very busy at Google I/O. So maybe you don't have a tip of the week this week.
I do actually. One of the kind of smaller, more minor announcements, but one of the announcements that was totally up my alley was that the Google Gmail Tasks now has an API, which is pretty cool. Google Tasks is one of those things that's built into Gmail. You can turn messages into to-dos and like manage your to-do list on your phone. And so they just released an API. It's been a long time.
Hallelujah.
And, yeah, and along with that, a Chrome extension, which integrates with Google Tasks. So if you search for Google Tasks in the Chrome store, you'll see the extension. With the extension installed, you can key up to the Omnibar and type T and the description of your new task, and it goes right into your Gmail tasks. Or you can highlight text on a web page and turn it into a to-do. It's a pretty cool, pretty neat extension. So if you're not a big to-do list person, but you live in Gmail like a lot of us do, and you've been trying to kind of get organized, the Gmail Tasks is actually looking pretty good.
That's exciting.
Yeah, now that there's this API, there's going to be, I think, and there's also integration with a few other productivity web apps like ManyMoon, Productive, and I might do something with To-Do Text too. But for now, you can just install the extension in Chrome and start getting your stuff all organized.
Yeah, if it doesn't work with To-Do.text, I don't want to use it. I love
Checks in the mail, Leo.
Yeah, no, I love it. That's Gina's great. Free? Is it free? No, it's 99. How much is it? $1?
It's $2. $2. Yeah, it's $2 in the Android market.
And TODOTXT.com if you want to find out more about it. It really is great. I use it all the time. But I would love, that's exactly the kind of thing it's missing is this integration. And Google's never done anything with their tasks. They just sat there.
It's true. It's true. So it's exciting to see movement there,
for
sure.
I'm really thrilled. That's great. A number of the week from you, Mr. Jarvis.
Well, first I want to do a little preamble here, boss, to get you scared here, because not only did Jay Rockefeller propose a do not track bit of legislation, also, I don't know if you know about this, Kevin, from your homeland, but on May 26, basically the same thing goes into effect in the UK to match with the EU's e-privacy directive that says that businesses and organizations running sites in the UK need to get consent from visitors in order to store and retrieve information on users' computers, which means they'll have to get an explicit opt-in in order to deploy practically any cookie, says wired.co.uk.
Wow.
Oh, whoop, wow. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Alarms.
Yeah, now I've talked a little bit more with Steve Gibson about this do not track, and as far as we can figure from the way it works, the kind of tracking we do to count podcast downloads would probably be okay.
Almost but advertising targeting and such won't be. I mean, it's still bad for media. It's still bad for media.
Yeah, well, it's bad because we're ad-supported media. I mean,
right.
If you want to pay for all your media, okay, but nobody does and nobody will. So how are we gonna finance all this stuff?
We got to find the one anyway. So now numbers. I'll do number 2. The last week we talked about the brand value and how Google was on top. Well, the Millward Brown Brands survey came out this week, and for the first time in 5 years, Google is not number 1. Apple is, as the most rich brand on earth.
I don't know how they figured this out, but it does.
It's utter bull, but fine.
It makes sense, though.
It gives us something to talk about,
I think right now, if you just think about it in your own head, doesn't the Apple brand kind of supersede the Google brand?
What's absurd about this is no.
Right on, Gina Trapani.
The buzzer under your seat.
I say on my
MacBook. Well, okay. What other brand? Microsoft? Yahoo? I mean, there are, Nike? British Petroleum?
But
Goldman
Salesforce
Sachs?
is coming up fast.
Salesforce, very, very hot. Very, very hot.
There you go. That's good.
Hey, my tool is something actually I discovered because of this Galaxy Tab, this 10.1-inch tab. I was looking, I Googled, Honeycomb apps, and there are fewer than 2 dozen or 3 dozen that were designed specifically for Honeycomb. But one of them was this kind of interesting app. And this is a good example, Jeff, of an app that steals your privacy, and I don't care. I'm going to let it. because it's giving me some value. It's called Grocery IQ. Let me put it up on the screen here, and you can see what it does. I've got the little widget here for Grocery IQ. See, there's my grocery shopping list. If I open up the app, it does, I think, very nicely use the Google interface. The tablet interface. It also uses, watch this, butter. It also uses recognition. So there's butter. And so I can add to my shopping list using text recognition. But what's kind of, now, so this is a free app. It is coupon based. So now I don't really use coupons, but if you wanted to, you could take advantage of this. Here I had whipped cream is on my list. Don't ask why. I could see.
We don't want to know, Leo.
You don't want to know, but
I
happen to like whipped cream. But I could look and see if there's any coupons available for whipped cream. And if you were a big coupon user, this would actually be really cool. But you don't need to. You can organize it by store, by aisle, and so forth. You can send a list. You can email a list out to somebody. But what I really love about this is there's a free account you set up for Grocery IQ, and this is automatically populated onto my phone. So I could keep it on my tablet. It even has a barcode scanner. I don't know if that, I guess it would work since it's Honeycomb enabled. So I could scan in the barcode of things that I needed to buy, populate the list on the tablet. This is kind of a natural inventory taker. And then when I go to the store, I've got it automatically on my iPhone. It syncs up automatically.
Well, plus, when your wife's at the store, she can see what's on the list. You can see what's on the list when you're at the store.
Exactly. And I can even have different, I can add aisles, hide aisles. I can really, this is like,
that's cool.
It's kind of Jennifer's out of town and I've been doing more shopping than I usually do. Okay. Can you see? You can also enter in. Suddenly, I'm very interested.
Really do like whipped cream.
Next week, we'll be talking about darning socks and putting buttons on jerseys.
I like domestic Leo.
Domestic Leo, it's the new thing. Yeah, it's the new green. It also you can enter in all your grocery savings cards and things like that. But I think this is kind of a neat app. And now, obviously, they're tracking exactly what I buy. They're probably selling it to these coupon guys. But do I care? No. What do I care? There's the value out of this, which is I get this great, good-looking app they're making a little bit of money on. And by the way, they completely support brand names. So if I entered hot dog relish, and then it said, well, which brand of hot dog relish would you like to buy? And I thought that was interesting. Probably they're selling that back, too. But that's fine. This is called Grocery IQ, and I kind of like it.
Neat.
The new domestic Leo.
Rocking the grocery list, the supercharged grocery list.
It's a Honeycomb app, all right? I'm just happy to find an app that runs on this thing. I do like this tablet, but if you really want apps, if you want form and function, you're going to want to buy an app. But look, I've got the live desktop, the live weather desktop, and this is the current weather here in Petaluma's fluffy, puffy clouds.
Right, how many apps do each of you actually use in a week? And forget how many you download. How many do you actually open up and use in a week?
Not that many.
Let's have a look.
That's the point.
Kevin and I just grabbed our phones.
Yeah, because if I look at the front page of my phone, there's a calendar app, there's Foursquare, a camera app, a Twitter app. That's probably about it, right?
See, that's what I'm saying, Leo. Is that when you get down to it, the smoke that's been blown up our ears here is that the most apps win, and they both fight in that.
Right.
Most apps is actually a disadvantage.
This is a Twitter app called TWiTcomb. It's the first Honeycomb specific Twitter app. Although,
is it any good?
It's okay. Wait for a little while because Loic showed me Seismic for Honeycomb.
Yeah, that was looking nice.
Looks gorgeous. And I think it'll be, but this kind of reminds me a little bit of TweetDeck. I guess now that Twitter owns TweetDeck, we can pretty much say goodbye to any updates to that program, which is kind of sad. But Seismic's good. Seismic's good. And I think, Loic showed me something else that I didn't realize. About widgets. Everybody knows about widgets. But there's also, about bookmarks? You guys know about bookmarks in your Android phone.
Yeah.
Just putting bookmarks on your home screen, you mean?
Yeah, but I never paid attention. And Loic said, we have a ton of Seismic. Let me throw this out so I can make some room. We have a ton of Seismic, or shortcuts, I should say. Shortcuts on here. And I never played with shortcuts. I always go to widgets. But if you look, an app can actually create these great shortcuts. Seismic has a ton of shortcuts for Twitter lists, for search, Facebook page, Composer. So I could have a shortcut on here that's a Seismic Composer shortcut. When I tap it, then it just launches a tweet.
Good idea.
So yeah, this is I didn't pay any attention to shortcuts before, so that's a free.
To Do Text also has one, an add task.
I noticed that add task, but I also keep that add task actually in my Launcher Pro bar right here.
So the other one that's handy is the contact shortcuts.
Right, because you can have direct shortcuts to contacts.
You could direct buttons for certain people that you call a lot as little buttons on the desktop, which makes sense for something this big.
I text my son all the time, so all I have to do is tap that, and I have too many text apps. So let's choose Google Voice, and it will automatically launch. Oops, let's not show his phone number. It'll automatically. Okay, let's go home.
Eileen just brought kettle corn, so the show's over. That's it.
That's it. Kettle corn's here.
Eileen's awesome.
Eileen the greatest.
Man.
Hey, Eileen.
Yeah, she hooks us up.
There's another freebie, by the way. They gave everybody Google. I can no longer go as a journalist to these events. Google not only gave this 10.1-inch tablet to everybody who went, they gave Verizon LTE modem cards out. Did you pick yours up yet?
Not yet. Pickup starts in 45 minutes, actually, 3:30. I guess they didn't want everybody to turn them on at the same time, so they saved them for the end of the day at day 2.
And they gave you those, there you go, Samsung and Verizon. And they give you those, the crap books. So that's great. You're really, you're loaded up.
That's messed up. That's messed up.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm not going to write a book about Chrome OS, but I see the sound.
Gina Trapani's the greatest. Hey, Wave's back. You should all go out and get the complete guide to Google Wave, completewaveguide.com.
But this is why Chrome will work and Wave doesn't, because Wave basically ignored the web. It didn't use HTML as a file format. It was like, come into our little world. Whereas Chrome is like, okay, what if we make the web the only thing on the computer? It's a very simple idea.
That's a good point.
There's some legs in that, I think.
Mr. Marks is a web standards guru, and that's there you have it. There's his pitch. He's now at Salesforce.com doing the same web standards thing there. He did at Google and Apple and many other companies before him.
He's in the cloud.
He's Mr. Cloud. Mr. Cloud. Thank you for being here, Kevin. Thank you, Gina Trapani. Again, her blog is smarterware.org. She also does that great ThinkUp app at thinkupapp.com. Soon on a server near you, I hope, because it's really
maybe
sweet.
In the Chrome Web Store. Who knows?
Oh, she's firing it up. Quit. All right,
man. I being at this conference, it's like I don't know what to develop first when I go home.
It's challenging, isn't it, to be a developer? That's fun. But that's what developers want is projects, things to do. Lots of interesting things to do. Jeff Jarvis is any minute now going to be the father of a proud new book called Public Parts.
I just sent it in right before the show.
Congratulations.
So the final edits are done, right?
There are, this is the final copy edit. There are, after I had my fit last week that the copy editor made internet and web and net up, I changed that hundreds of times. That work is done now. Whew. Internet is again like water and electricity.
And the web is whatever it is. Jeff Jarvis blogs at buzzmachine.com. Thank you all for being here. We do This Week in Google every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern at live.twit.tv. You can get a copy of the show if you miss it, of course, at twit.tv/twig. And we'll see you next week on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.